Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, you are very welcome. I'm Jane, my husband Mike does everything behind the camera. We're British early retirees, we have no debt. We've paid off the mortgage and we live a thrifty, frugal and money-saving life here in Brittany in northwest France. And every Sunday we share with you an aspect of our private lives, of things that we do personally to save money. And today I want to share with you about frugal shaming and how we've had a chat in the community group, haven't we, about frugal shaming. And I also want to talk at the end of the video about how we deal with that. So those of us who've experienced frugal shaming know that people think that our business is suddenly their business and they want to criticize us for it. They criticize something that we are wearing or not wearing. They criticize something we do or we don't do. And sometimes it can be they criticize what we give or what we don't give. And that's what we want to talk about today. Let's get into it. It's a shame, isn't it, that frugal shaming can often come from family members, from a sibling or an in-law or anybody in your extended family, or a parent or a son or a daughter. It can come from anywhere, can't it? When you live a frugal life, when you save money, but they don't, and they think that you're doing something wrong in some way, or you live off a budget, and because of that, you have constraints and you have boundaries of what you will or won't do with your money, and they don't. They might be flippant with their money, and therefore they feel in some way it's not that they're doing something wrong, but you and your choices are wrong. That you shop secondhand. Have you ever had that? Have you ever had somebody goes like, ugh, no, ooh, no, oh, I couldn't do that. You wear secondhand clothes, and they will say, and they can say it. I've heard the most ridiculous things. They can criticize you for having no spend months, can ridicule you and be really unpleasant about it, when actually you're having a financial reset month and really getting things straight. But they've never got their finances straight. They're never living on a budget. They're never doing anything like that. That you home cook, that you don't eat out. And you aren't the type of person who would say to them, I think you're wasting your money, you're eating out all the time, you're spending too much money. But they think it's perfectly okay to say to you, you want to live a bit, you just don't live much of a life, do you? You're not getting out, you need to get out more. You don't go out for coffee, do you? They think it's okay to say that. And you have what you have and you look after it and you keep it in good order. I shared recently that I always keep my sofas covered up. My sofas, even though they're 6 years old, are clean. There's not one mark on them. There's no holes in them because I keep quilts on them and I wash the quilts and I keep them in good order. And I had somebody who told me it looked cheap. They can think what they like, it's my house, it doesn't really matter. And they also have comments about how your appearance. I've had people say to me, well, I think you do all right, but I couldn't be like you because I like to be feminine. I don't know what quite that means really, but there we go. Or you're not fashionable, or you don't buy new things. I'm a great believer in you buy quality and you wear it for years. So there's always people out there who want to have some kind of say about some things that you do. And let's talk about this a bit more, because some of it can be embarrassing and it can be hurtful and it can be sometimes really quite difficult to deal with. I want to say first of all that people who genuinely care for us, who genuinely like us, who are genuinely our friends, they don't care what we do, they don't care what we eat, they don't care how we live. It's us they like, and we like them, and they like us. But they're close to us, and we are close to them. And the people who really, really matter don't say those type of things to us, do they? It is often the people around us, what I would call on the periphery of our life, who can say things. And actually, most of the time, these people never know we're frugal. They never know we're living on a budget. They never know any of these things. But there can be just occasions where something can come up in a workplace, or something can happen in a workplace where people can notice that you're the odd one out, or you're doing something differently, or you're not following the crowd, or you're not part of something. And that's when sometimes people can be unpleasant. Let's talk about gift giving. There was a culture once upon a time where the older people in society who'd made a bit more money and were more financially stable gave money to the younger people when they got married, or maybe when they got married and left home. So that tradition has now spread so far and so wide because of the gift giving industry. Everything has an industry behind it. There is the Christmas industry, there is the wedding industry, there is the gift industry, there is the floral industry, isn't there? There is we have to spend money on absolutely everything. There is the baby industry, there is the gifting industry. And it is all of it about making money for someone. And that means somebody somewhere is trying to get money out of you. Let's talk about how that can be very awkward in the workplace. In workplaces, because of that gift-giving industry and some people who are not thrifty and not frugal and not cautious with money and who do not have financial boundaries, there are some people in our workplaces who believe money should be spent at every single opportunity all of the time. And if you're not doing it, you are the odd one out. And those people are often the ones who like to do the collections, who like to go around with the card and the envelope. We're collecting for this person or that person. And I've talked about this in a previous video, how I personally would make the decision of, if I knew the person, if I worked with the person, if that person helped me in some way, and I'd already decided previously in my workplace, and I left there in 2018, that the amount of money that I would give was £5. Doesn't matter who it was, what it was for. They were running the race for life, I would give them £5. They were retiring, I would put £5 into the collection. They were getting married, I would put in £5. But the question that was asked, that went into a bit more detail, basically talked about how you dealt with people's expectations of that. Let's go into some more details just about that. Now, this came from a viewer sharing within the community, that's what we have here, a money-saving community, that they were in a workplace, somebody had come round to collect some money from them, they had given some money, the person collecting it had made a barbed remark that everybody else had given more money. The person who was donating the money at that point in time felt very embarrassed and very awkward and felt that they had to justify themselves in some way and say, that's all I have right now, that's all I can afford to give. And this happens in a workplace. And I'm going to share with you what I feel about this. The same viewer who talked about the uncomfortable feeling they had in their workplace also shared that their family had a WhatsApp group, And in that WhatsApp group, they shared things that were going on in the family, events, social activities, and so on. But the person felt very awkward in that group because people were talking a lot about things that they were buying for a family member, or gifts they were giving to other family members, and they felt pressurized in some way to join in with this. Another viewer shared with me that they are an older person and they feel pressured to not only give money to their grown-up children, but to if they ever went anywhere or met up with them, that they were the one who paid for the coffee, that they were the one who paid for the lunches or the meals, and that they were expected to give money that they really couldn't afford to family events. So it's difficult, and when you feel you're pressurized in some way, if you feel any guilt in some way, what people have done is kind of dumped some kind of shame on you. And often it's because they're all saying, we spend money all of the time. You're not spending money. You are the odd one out. When I asked viewers in the community conversation to share their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences on gift giving in the workplace or gift giving in families, and any pressure that you felt, and if they'd ever had an experience of people treating them differently or unpleasantly or shaming them in any way, one comment came up and said, well, whatever you do, if there is a collection in the workplace, make sure that you give every time. Make sure that you give as much as everybody else all the time. And their reasoning for this was because people will be horrible to you. People will talk about you behind your back. People will gossip about you. Well, my answer to that is, if you work with horrible people, they will be horrible anyway. If you work with people who gossip, who say awful things, who are unkind, who are not nice, they will do that anyway. There are people in workplaces who create a toxic environment, who feed into it and make it worse every day. They could come in every day and decide to be kind and nice to people, but for whatever reason, each morning they get up and think of ways that they can be unpleasant. I've experienced frugal shaming. I worked in a workplace where it would have what I can only call a very British matey environment, and there was a lot of banter. And banter in a British workplace means people take the piss. And when people take the piss out of you, it means they tease you, they rile you, they're sarcastic, they can be quite rude, they can be overly informal, and that can happen in some workplaces, and it happened in a workplace that I worked in. The people who did it had their comeuppance, may I add, and I'll get into that in a moment. But I've worked in workplaces where the attitude has been, we work hard, we play hard. So we go out and we go down the pub, or we go out and socialise, or we have an end of term do, we have a Christmas do, we have a leaving do for people, things like that. And I didn't live nearby, nor did I have a budget for those type of things. So I would politely decline. Now, most people are absolutely fine about it. There's always one or two who feel they need to make some kind of sarcastic, unnecessary comment. And I have been called things to my face. I've been called boring. I'm not bored. I'm not bored. I've been told things. I've actually had somebody say to my face, if I lived your life, I would jump off the Tamar Bridge. It's so bad. Yeah, people can be that rude. I've had people say to me, you live like my gran. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? So it happens. I want to tell you now about things that I personally have done about it, and I won in the end. When it comes to gift giving or donating or those whip rounds or collections in the workplace, if you feel something is uncomfortable or pressure or anything like that, I would suggest you do what some people in my workplace did, is they go and speak to either a line manager or they go to speak to people in personnel, and go there with solutions. Don't go there tale telling. Don't go there side gossiping. Don't do those things, but go there with solutions. You know, you can literally go in there and say, when there are collections, some people might feel uncomfortable about giving money in public or talking about this maybe in the staff room or being caught after work. I would love to suggest that we do this in an impersonal, confidential way. We all come into the office in the morning. We all log in and sign on in the office in the morning. Could we have a card to sign and a collection point in the office and somebody in finance to hold on to it and collect it? So go in there with solutions. Don't go in there moaning. Another way of doing this is if you feel you don't want to join in with the big collection, if you don't want to do that, if you know someone personal, you give them a personal gift. You give them the card that you've written in. I remember getting a message from somebody that said words to the effect, I hope you are as happy in your new job as you have been here. And I hope that you continue to make people you work with as happy there as you have done here. And those kind of messages that are personal, that mean something, are really, really lovely. And finally, I want to talk about this WhatsApp group thing. I'm in a WhatsApp group. I am in a social WhatsApp group of something that I am in. And sometimes they all want to join in and do something, and I might not want to. I'm a real introvert, and there's some things I just really don't want to do. I would never say to any of them, I would rather stay home than do those things. I would rather not do those things. I just don't join in with the conversation. I just don't. And if there's like an ongoing conversation about this that they are really happy about, that they are really pleased about, I'll send some kind of thumbs up emoji or a smiling emoji, or I send a small comment like, have a great day, I wish you all well, I'll be thinking of you. So I'm not blanking them that I'm not doing it. And if it's anything to do with money, I mean, my family doesn't have a WhatsApp group, and we're not as a family. That is just not something we would do or talk about anyway. But if I was in those circumstances, I would just maintain a dignified silence about some things. I definitely wouldn't join in with it. Now I want to finish with this, and it's a message especially to women. It does apply to some men, but I really do think this applies to women. And it's to a lot of us all of the time. We've been told all of our lives to be a good girl, to do as we're told, to join in with the other girls, be nice like the other girls. So that means if the other girls are having their hair done, you're supposed to have your hair done. The other girls are having their nails done, you're supposed to have your nails done. And the one word that you're told that, well, social expectation is that you don't say no. So you spend all your time coming up with some kind of round the houses excuse of why you can't do something. Oh, that weekend. Oh no, I think that's the weekend my husband's away fishing, so he's going to have the car, so I don't think I'll be able to go. Oh, that weekend. Oh no, I think I've got my friend's dog that weekend. I'll be at her house, and you know she lives miles away, doesn't she? So all of the time, there's this kind of social expectation that women don't say no. Actually, it's the one word you're allowed to say. And if you say no and people are offended, if you say no, I don't want to go and people are offended, if you say no, I don't want to donate, or no, I don't know that person, I don't want to contribute to that, you have done absolutely nothing wrong whatsoever. No is a complete sentence. You stick to your budget. You eat your packed lunch. You live your life. You have your financial boundaries. They're yours, they're your choices, and at the end of the day, you are doing absolutely nothing wrong. The people who want to shame you, they're often the ones who don't have a budget, who sometimes have debt, who eat out and let the food in the fridge rot, who buy new clothes because the clothes they've got in the back of the cupboard, they've forgotten about them. They haven't even taken the labels off them. So no, never ever feel ashamed of your frugality, of your money saving and your financial boundaries. Leave me a comment today if any of this has resonated with you. And I want you to feel very, very proud of your frugality, of your money saving and of your thrifty living. And I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.